Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see you again.
Yes, welcome back. It's been a while. Everything okay? Taking a
Yes,
break?
not a break. I've been talking to other tutors, but yes, I was definitely missing a session with you.
Lovely. That's nice to hear. So, any stories you'd like to share in the time that you were
hmm
away?
Nothing much. But if I see things in that direction like a story, then every day is a story, I would say. Like I've recently celebrated my fourth YouTube salary. By throwing a
Wow.
party to kids around. So that was a story because you make memories when you celebrate little things, and kids also enjoy at the same time. They just want an excuse to party. So, yes, that is my recent story, you can say.
That's nice. Congratulations on that.
Thank
Hopefully, there's
you.
many, many more to come.
Yes, I'm hoping the same.
All right. So, is there any specific topic you would like to talk about?
hmm do you have something in your bucket? Otherwise, I'll tell you.
Usually I ask the learners because their channel have
hmm
certain requests, like their
hmm
followers ask certain questions.
hmm
So I'd rather solve that because, those are problems that people are actually struggling with. Whereas
hmm
if I can come up with a topic and we can have a conversation, but it will not help people,
hmm
like it will not be an immediate help to people who are actually watching your channel, I would say.
Right. But internet is flooded with all the informative videos. So that is sorted, right? So we can talk about something a bit nostalgic, I can say, because the other day I was talking with my sister-in-laws about the childhood that we have lived, right? But today's kids' childhood is completely different from that. So we
Mm-hmm.
remembered the games we played as a kid, and there were many games we could remember. Like we were stressing our brain to remember all the games we played, and it was so much fun talking about those things. So I would like to have the same experience with you. Like I would like to share my childhood, and I would love to know about your childhood too today.
Yeah, definitely. So what games were your favorites?
hmm
Like give me top three.
My favorites, I would say I was not very sporty. Like people used to play kho and this badminton. I was once in a volleyball team too, but then I was thrown out because I was not good at it. So if I talk about my favorites, I was a kind of person who was so reserved. So where there is not much exercise or not much running or so, those would be my favorites. I used to play Dollhouse, right? And I would play that the game that we play with the stones that we usually
Okay.
play in villages actually. I'm not sure
Yeah.
whether you're aware of that or not. Like we would have
I
five stones,
it's it's called
pebbles.
some it's called something jack in English. I forgot what it's actually called.
Okay.
Hop jack japs
Mm-hmm.
jack skip. I don't remember,
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yes. So there used to be five stones, and you would play with your hands, right? You'll throw
Right.
in
I know
air
the
and
game,
then you
yeah.
would catch. So that
hmm
was real fun. And then we would play Ludo and Snake and Ladders, right?
hmm
And then Pakram Pakadai in Hindi, like we would chase each other. So that was also one of my favorite games. And then what do we call that? Kabaddi, kabaddi. Like there are
Yeah.
many, if I
hmm
have to say, there are many games. But what were your favorite, by the way?
I think these games are something that we played as well. But I think it depends on like the group of friends. So
hmm
like if it was me going down in the evening just to meet people from the building, we'd play all of these games and we had a gated society. So we could have like when we were trying to play thieves and robbers, which is pakadam,
hmm
pakadai thing, whatever
Yes,
you say.
yes.
Yeah,
Hide
so
and
we
seek.
had hide and seek, exactly. Sorry, my bad. So we would have a bigger like area to sort of hide in. And I
hmm
think all of my friends were crazy. Like they would hide in electrical rooms, under the cars, in the garden,
Right.
like behind the
hmm
swings and whatnot. So like it was quite a task to, I mean, that was a half an hour game. But anyway,
hmm
my point is that back then we didn't have technology, so we had to do something to keep ourselves engaged, like especially
hmm
with our friends. So yes, whatever games you mentioned, we've played most of them. We
hmm
used to play with marbles. We used to have, back then there were collectibles like with Cheetos or something you would buy and you'd get those
Right.
toys, right? So we
hmm
would like sort of have whatever was trending back then, because every 6 months something new would come up. So
Mm-hmm.
we would exchange those. We would have collections of those sort of toys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think when it comes to like actually playing a game every day, I think one thing I did is I played football with my friends because we were lucky enough that most of our friends were in the same age group.
Mm-hmm.
So within 2 or 3 years of each other,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a space in the back of the garden basically where we could play five,
Mm-hmm.
three a side or four a side basically. So
Mm-hmm.
eight of us would play, six of us or eight of us would play, and I think that is something that we played every day for like 3 hours or 2 hours. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it
Right.
was more physical for me, more
Mm-hmm.
than sort of just, either board games or the games where like, hopscotch or
Yes.
uh Kho, like
Mm-hmm.
those games we weren't really interested in because we had that space. We were
Mm-hmm.
able to play cricket, we were able to play football, but mostly football.
Right. Like boys had another games and girls had another games. So there would always be groups of boys and girls, separate groups, right? And even
Yeah.
I remember my brothers also used to go, like as soon as they come from school, they would have their lunch and they would go to play cricket. And they would come
Right.
late in the evening after playing
Mm-hmm.
cricket. So for hours and hours they play. So that is the boy thing, right? And like as you talked about hopscotch as well. So as I have spoken about this thing with my sister-in-law, so I thought we should introduce all these games to our kids as well. Then I tried introducing. I took a chalk and made that hopscotch, but they tried it for just a few minutes, not even 15 minutes, just a few minutes, and they were bored of it. Like they didn't find it interesting. I don't know why. What do they
Right.
find interesting?
So I have thought about this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think nowadays kids are more wired to sort of find a solution for the problem and then move on to the next problem, right? Whether it's with games, whether it's with studies, whether it's just watching a show or a movie, whatever they want to do, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
entertainment. So what happens is, I mean, I'm thinking like right now off the top of my head, once the kids realize what the solution is to the game, because initially it's a challenge, it's something new. So they're interested, that dopamine is kicking in. And once they know how it's done and they've done it like 4 or 5 times, they're like, okay, yeah, let's move on to the next thing now, we're done. Whereas
Right.
we were not like wired in that sense because we knew
Mm-hmm.
that we only had certain options. So we would use it differently. Like today we'll play hopscotch, tomorrow we'll try
Mm-hmm.
badminton, the other day we'll try something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we would repeat the cycle and we would be okay with the repetition, I
Right.
would say.
Yes, yes,
Whereas with
that's
the
true.
kids now, with the attention that they have, I would think because they have so many games at their disposal on their iPad, laptop, PC, whatever they have, or even in the phone, like in the mobile. I think they're just like, yeah, let's just move on to the next
Hmm. Right. That
thing.
was a nice observation, I must say,
Hmm.
because it's true that children these days they need challenge, something challenging they want, so that they could have that fun, that enjoyment. But we were like robots back then. Like we can play the same game for hours and hours. Like we can,
Hmm.
do the same kind of activity for hours, hours and hours and hours, and we would not even get bored of it. So that
Yeah.
kind of can we say conditioning? It was conditioning, or like we
Yeah.
were also like we were so free. Our parents were not that protective that time. Like they would let us free to go anywhere,
Yeah.
right? They just want us safe and sound when you come back, right? That was the
Hmm.
thing. So we were free to explore the world. We were free to do anything what we wanted. But these days parents are so protective. Like if their kids are playing hide and seek, they would taunt them. They would again and again, point out that don't go there, don't hide there, and all that things. You might hurt yourself, or all these things. Like we are so protective. So we are somewhere confining our kids to explore the world. Don't you
Yeah.
think so?
I think we have to find ways, and I mean, when I say we, I mean every parent, like every new parent, we have to find ways to keep challenging our kids because we are not conditioned like that. So for us, when we have jobs, when we have a business, it becomes a question of routine and repetition, right? Whereas with kids, it's almost like the clothes that they wear. You can use it for like 2 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, but eventually you're gonna have to upgrade it. So I think it's similar with conditioning and education. Um, just because you found a show or an app that lets you take a quiz, lets your kid take a quiz, to sort of engage themselves or learn new things. Yeah, don't be happy because that's not going to last long. It's going to be like a 6 month thing where the child will outgrow it and you'll have to find something that's a little bit more challenging, right? There are more laid back parents that just realize that, hey, let the kid figure things out by themselves, let them question the world, the real world, and, experience social interactions and whatnot. But again, it comes down to what your philosophy is or what you would want your child to do when they grow up. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's more important.
Definitely that's there, but it's the right of every child, I would say, to explore
Definitely.
the world. That's the right of every child. So we cannot restrict them to certain things because of our schedule, because of our rules or something like that,
Hmm.
right? Because the way we wanted them to grow. So that is definitely not right. But don't you think it happens because, from my point of view, I think people do restrict their kids to go out or to take challenges or to not to, make them fall into any uncertain or adverse situation because they don't want to trouble their routine. Like they are in a set routine.
Yeah.
They have to go to office and then come back, prepare dinner, help kids and study. So they want to move smoothly in life. So they don't want to trouble their routine. So that is why that could be the reason.
Yes, I think it is a little bit of selfishness, which I don't blame people. I mean, if I was in that situation, yes, I would want my kid to sort of experience these things, but as long as it doesn't disrupt my life or my emotions or my sleep or like my energy levels, like a lot of different factors. Again, it depends on from person to person. But I think when it comes to like you said, some adults they don't think about the growth of the child and then they end up sort of interrupting them or they sort of restrict them. I think it's a very rare case when you happen to restrict a child's uh, growth or like their curiosity. Because, okay, let's say there is a very laid back parent who's like, okay, go play the game, go join an academy so you can master this game, go to a book club or go to this club where you can be social, you can learn new things, right? That's a good environment where the child is experiencing challenges, it's experiencing new situations, right? Um, but when you restrict, I think the most common form of restriction would be being overprotective, where it's like, no,
Hmm.
no, don't get out of the house after 7. Go to school, come back, go to your tuition, and then stay at home, right? I personally feel parents can't restrict kids too much because it's just that the kids will find a way to sort of satisfy that curiosity, even if it's in something else, right?
Hmm.
So if you don't let the kid go out, the kid will stay at home and find books or something online that they have an interest in. They'll start doing physical, like sort of, I wouldn't say carpentry specifically, but like building things, right?
Hmm.
Origami or something. So kids will find ways to do it as long as they have resources and they have an environment where they are allowed to do that. And even if it like, if, at the worst case scenario, like you don't let your kid out and you don't let them meet friends and everything, I think in that case, the kid will start growing in the sense of the maturity of understanding his emotions, understanding
Hmm.
how their behavior attracts a reaction from the parents or from
Hmm.
their family members in general. So, in every sense that I look at, again, this is 90%, 80%, right? There are some cases where kids are not allowed to do anything and it kind of hampers them, right? But I mean, in most ways, kids will find a way to grow or learn or do something new because that curiosity and that hunger is always there to understand how the world works or to understand what they could do to sort of get that satisfaction.
Right, right, right. So you can stop their movement, but you cannot restrict their brain, right? So they are free to think anything. So they can definitely figure it out, as you said. But you
You
know
can
what?
you can
Hmm.
restrict categories, like you can restrict the social part, you can restrict the physical exercise, like in terms of
Hmm.
the muscle development, but then the kid will go to a mental sort of happy
Right,
place. That's what I mean.
right, right, right. But then it's not their choice, it's their parents' choice again.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to mention like if parents are not allowing their kids to step out, then in their childhood, but later on they would put them into classes. to engage them or to make them grow well in their life, right? So they want to engage them into some different activities, like they would send them to football clubs, like that, or any dance classes or badminton classes, like that. But I remember when we were kids, we used to play lots of games, lots of different games, I would say. So there would be games like that we would make on the spot, like
Hmm.
role plays we used to do, and that actually helps us in building skills like leadership, negotiation, group cooperation, you can say, how to work in a group, right? How to
Yeah.
lead, and all these skills we were learning so naturally. Now people go to sessions and workshops for learning those things, isn't it?
I think, I mean, in a sense, it's true. But what I would say is, yes, nowadays kids miss out on that specific factor of learning, like the method of learning. But I'm sure in their schools, they're also encouraged to do these things and they also have these interactions. But I
Mm-hmm.
think what's missing is outside of school, their parents enroll them into classes or sort of do certain activities to get an upper hand in certain skill sets,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, kids are too young. I mean, I'm talking about kids who are under the like eighth grade level, right? They're sent to elocution classes. Maybe their parents want them to be good public speakers, communicators, or understand business from an early age, or to understand critical thinking from an early age. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. What we did was at like very, very foundational level, like the example that you mentioned. The first thing that came to my mind is delegation. Who's in charge
Mm-hmm.
of the story? Who's in charge of sort of taking the leadership role? Storytelling. What line of thought are we going to follow when we come up with this activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are some things that we learned. We didn't even know we were doing it, but we were doing it,
Right,
right?
right.
Where one person is like, I think you should do this, I think you should do this, you're good at this.
Mm-hmm.
So that person becomes the natural leader or the natural like manager of the group, where they
Mm-hmm.
find the strengths of a person and then they assign that task to that person you know
Mm-hmm.
so whereas with kids nowadays, it is more like when we did that foundationally, they're trying to achieve, I mean their parents are trying to put them into situations where they try to achieve mastery at an early age, right? They get
Mm-hmm.
to an advanced level but in a specific skill set,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right, right.
Whatever that
So,
skill set might be.
yes, so now like childhood has become more structured, we can say,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
that's what happens through generations, right? Like, I mean, I'm
Uh-huh.
sure your parents did something and you don't want to do the same thing to your kids because you realize that it was
Mm-hmm.
not a good thing, right? I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
mention, like, it could be very different things.
But
But,
in my case, it's completely opposite. I want to go back to that time. I want to raise the kids the way my parents raised me, actually,
right.
because I don't like the way the world is now. I want to go
Yeah,
back to that time.
I understand. I understand. What I meant to say was like, parenting philosophies, I meant to say. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
technology and all because that is
Mm-hmm.
already there. We cannot fight from it. Like now, if you
Right.
have a kid and he's 10 years old, you can't tell the kid, okay, you'll get a phone when he's 18. Like, I mean, that's a very big
Mm-hmm.
disadvantage in this world, right? Especially with all the technology and the internet and all. Instead of saving the kid or letting him explore things naturally or organically, you're just hampering it because now these things happen in a different way, but online, you know? So, like, just imagine a person just got their first smartphone with internet at 18. They don't know how to sort of find things, Google things. There are a lot of skills that kids need nowadays to sort of get to that level.
Right, right. That's definitely true. So we cannot keep them away from the technology. They are definitely going to get into it. If we'll not allow, they'll get to know about it from somewhere else, from friends,
Yeah.
classmates, right?
If we don't
Okay.
allow, the later it
Mm-hmm.
gets, the more disadvantaged they will be
Mm-hmm.
when they grow
True,
up
true,
because the
true.
world is steering in that direction.
Right. Also, your kid can miss out on some good things as well in context of
A lot
technology.
of good things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
I know people, like I have a cousin who started coding when he was like 14,
Mm-hmm.
and literally by 17 that kid is already doing freelance stuff. So he understands business, he understands how to offer his services. And
Mm-hmm.
I already told him, like, he keeps worrying, oh my God, this is such a problem. Like, dude, at 17 I didn't even know anything about like
Mm-hmm.
technology. So you're way past us already. Like, your future
Mm-hmm.
is sorted because you already know what you like, so you're already there.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's so true. I've also noticed kids learning Python in their early ages, like early childhood. So, what do you think? How can we set expectations for our kids? Like, if somebody is learning Python, so should we also enroll our kids to that classes, or it's okay if my kid is not doing that?
I mean, there's two sides of the coin to that. First is, do you want your child to sort of be in that industry, be in like well equipped to be able to access it when he's grown up? And the second thing is, does the kid actually care? Like, does the kid actually want to do this? Because
Mm-hmm.
anybody who has a genuine curiosity or that hunger to do it will do it even if you stop them from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll take their pad or their laptop and then they'll look up YouTube videos and learn everything from scratch. Even if you tell them, okay, oh, we're not going to send you to coding school, like they don't care, they'll do it. But if you force the kid, they don't want to do it, they'll do the bare minimum, which is honestly wasted their time, wasted your money. So if both those things turn out well, then I think you're very lucky. If
Mm-hmm.
your kid has the initiative without telling you what they like, they just start doing it and they get good at it, then you're
Mm-hmm.
lucky. But
Right.
I think, like I said, it's very it's conditional basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
you have in front of you, you'll have to decide.
Definitely. I tell you, my older kid is 6 years old and he is
Hmm.
not interested in even writing. Like he gives me hard time whenever I sit with him for his homework and for the writing work. So he
Yeah,
always gives me that hard time. So he is not interested in that, but we have to push him at this particular age to write because he should
right.
know writing by this age, right? So
Hmm.
in that direction I'm saying that if even if the kid is not interested, we have to push him to do a certain thing because it is already set, the expectations, I can say, like by
Have
six
you?
years of age you should know writing, reading.
I mean, every kid has his own like sort of learning curve. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't know what activities they do in school or in preschool, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know better, I would say. But
Right.
my point is, have you tried like making the activity fun in a way, like
Mm-hmm.
engaging the child? Okay, what is the
Mm-hmm.
most favorite thing your child? What is your child's most favorite thing?
He can do everything verbally, like he can learn everything. He has learned
No, no,
tables
what does he
also.
love? Like, does he love
La-
football? Does he love computer
okay.
games? What does he love?
Mm-hmm. He love watching TV, nothing else. Like he's not much into playing as well. I have to push him to go out and play with friends. But my younger one is completely different. They both are poles apart, and he would like as soon as he wakes up in the morning, he would go out and play with people or go to other people's house, right? To find
Okay.
his friends and to they he even wakes them up. He even wakes them up, right?
Yes, that's correct. All right.
Right, right.
So have
But
you like done any research on
mm-hmm,
how you can encourage your older child to write more?
mm-hmm.
Maybe give him some sort of
I've
activity to do with watching shows or watching
mm-hmm.
cartoons.
Right, right. I've tried many things, I would say, and I take help of YouTube videos as well. Like I might get something interesting or something that can work for my kid, right? But it's really difficult. And I also don't push him a lot to be good at it at this certain age, but you have that little stress in your mind somewhere. Like you don't want to
Yeah.
take stress, but you will have. uh, like it will be there. I mean, I can't express this in words, but as a parent, you will always be worried about your kid. You can't be easygoing ever
Yeah.
till your last
Yeah.
breath, I would say.
Just one thing I'd like to say. Uh, Always remember you should pull the child towards something rather than push him towards something.
Mm-hmm.
Just an example. Instead of like, I mean, if you have a partner, right, and you
Mm-hmm.
want them to do something, instead of saying, do it, do it, do it, do it, it becomes nagging. It becomes like, I'm pushing you to do it, I'm forcing you to do it, right? Instead, you should find ways to communicate it in a positive way that attracts them to the activity,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So,
Right.
okay, I remember the story I heard once where this guy, he was dating two different girls, right? And because I think he was in finance or something. So he had to shave his beard every day. He's like 50 years old, right? So on the weekends, he wouldn't shave. So on Friday or something, when he would shave, his first girlfriend would say that, your beard pricks me a lot. It hurts my face. It's making me no, he wouldn't shave on the weekends. Sorry. He wouldn't shave on the weekends. So his, you know, older girlfriend would say that your beard is hurting me, it's making me cause like it's making me have skin issues and I
Mm-hmm.
have to use products to solve that. So just can you keep shaving on the weekends as well? But that guy's like, I shave every day. It's such a task. So maybe on the weekends I just want to relax. I want to be a little bit ungroomed. That's fine. Whereas the second girlfriend, she said that, you look so attractive when you're shaved, you're freshly shaved. I love hanging around you when that happens. So the action is between push and pull. Whereas the first girlfriend was pushing that, hey, I want you to shave every day on the weekends as well. The other girlfriend said that she pulled him towards the action that I
Mm-hmm.
find that attractive, or I find that very appealing about you, that you are well groomed and you look freshly shaven, that sort of way. So that was his
Mm-hmm.
logic of, push and pull. Like you have
Right.
to understand how to do it. Again,
I
I'm not giving
completely
you
got
parenting
it.
tips. I'm not
No,
giving
no,
you
it was
parenting tips.
really a
You're like,
nice tip. It was
yeah,
really a nice tip, I must say. I can
yeah.
appreciate his writing, that you're writing really well, write it more
Hmm.
properly, right? You need to appreciate his work. So he
Yeah,
might get interested into it, right?
yeah,
That was
definitely.
a nice tip, I must say. I'll apply that definitely.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've run out of time. We exceeded the time by a lot actually, but this
Yes.
is what happens when you're having a fun conversation.
Right, right. Definitely. It was a lovely conversation every time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Not in
Yes.
like 2 months or something again now.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Yes, we'll definitely meet
Yeah.
very soon.
Thank you.
Okay, then.
See you.